Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Nosa, and you are welcome to the review of the Edo State governorship election. I thought we should just talk about it. So, uh, I will be going live with my three friends, Don Eugene, Mr. Kelly Obayagbon, and Pierre Blakes. So, hopefully, they're going to join us soon. Mm.
I think your microphone is on mute. I think your microphone is on mute. Hello.
Hi, good evening. Mr. Doiji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. How is
Okay.
today, sir?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you guys for coming in. Mr. Kelly, can you hear me? He's
Yeah,
on
I can
video,
hear you.
but
I can hear you.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well now. Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys for coming in. We just want to talk about the Edo State elections. Just more like a review, talking about it, and we are all aware of what's going on at the same time. It was more like an election of three candidates, but for the majority was more like for two major candidates. Without being tried to be biased and giving some sense of belonging to the other parties. I mean, we know the third party, they want to destroy the country at the moment. So we can just include this APC into the whole thing. But man, it's what's been going on today is being crazy because from what we're hearing, we had PDP is doing well. Some said the APC is performing miracles as always, and for the Labour Party, funny enough, we just heard that the Olumide Akpata, the guy who represents a Labour Party, lost his word, and I have no idea, how you win an election losing your word. Only Jagaban has ever done anything like that. He lost Budilo Palace, I mean, whatever it is he is from, and then magically won the elections. So let's talk about it. Let me introduce our co-host for today, Mr. Don Eugene, a life coach, an engineer, and a father of four nations, and also Mr. Kelly Abayabon, uh, goodness, a friend, a healthcare practitioner. We call him Baba K, and a father of four nations also. So I'm a big man. I brought two father of four nations to my live program today. So let's talk. Mr. Don Eugene, I think you
Huh?
should come in first. Let's talk about this election.
Sure. For me, basically, good evening, everyone.
Good
And
evening.
all interested parties from Edo State, I think as the live goes on, if you want to join in and give your 2 cents, you can come on. It's just a review we are doing, and we are really not trying to pass any narrative to say this is where the pendulum should swing. As longer, if we have done that the day before the election, maybe we would have said, okay, we are trying to campaign for a particular candidate. But What we're just trying to do is to look at the process and also look at what it means for the state, especially for the citizen of the state. I will start by saying Edo State is one of that state that has very resilient citizens. We pride ourselves to be dogged and very smart, forward-looking people. But unfortunately, we've not been blessed with good leadership for the last few decades. The last time Edo State had a leader that they could actually be proud of was Ambrose Ali in the 80s. And most of the infrastructures that are still holding and so in Edo State today were actually done far back over 40 years, 30 years. And it's unfortunate that in the last 30 years, we've not really had good leadership. As smart as we are as a people, I'm from Edo State, as smart as we are as a people, as resilient as we are, as stubborn as we are, we've not been able to hold our leaders accountable. So basically, even reviewing this election, where I would like to pitch my tent majorly will be, what would the outcome of the election be for the people? And then just quickly to state this, I would like us to go to this later, is as stubborn as we are, or as tough as we are as a people, how come we've not been able to hold our leadership responsible or accountable? Because we have the election happens once in 4 years, but governance happens every day in 4 years. So after the day of the election, the result is announced maybe on Monday, or it can be announced in the dead of the night, or it can be announced anytime, depends on how INEC pleases. But my question for Edo State people is, after the result is announced, what happens in the next 4 years? Everybody goes back. Nobody forms a coalition to hold the governorship or the governor or the leadership responsible. So because of that, we keep having this repeat of failure of leadership. From Lucky Benedion, we ended up with Oshomole, with his rascality, handed over to Obaseki. We eventually put some structures in place in Edo State, but not as much as we love to see. So we're reviewing the election, and we are particularly concentrating on what will it mean for the citizens, especially those that reside in Edo State. How come Edo State still looks like a civil servant state after 3 decades? How come we've not been able to see a bit of what Lagos is, industrialization, commercial real estate, and all of that in Edo State? So basically, that's how my heart bleeds, that as a citizen of Edo State, somehow it's unfortunate for me to say I don't think I can stay in Benin as a permanent resident, because the city has not lived up to his expectation. So these are basic things we're going to talk about, but maybe we'll start by just reviewing the election. So I will start from one point. I think the hype of the violence in the election was just too much, that I was talking to 1 or 2 people on ground, and I discovered relatively the election was peaceful, but though there was a low turnout, and I believe it was due to the anticipation of violence. So on the day of the election, not much violence was recorded. But the report I'm getting from the foot soldiers, for those ones on the ground, is that even the local government election that happened a while back had more turnout than this governorship election. So it's also very disappointing that we have a state that less than 20% of the state would decide who will govern the state for the next 4 years. So I think a lot needs to be done better. So I'll just yield for now.
Thank you so much. So, a state where less than 20% of the people decides who leads the state, I mean, it's really appalling, disappointing at the same time. And if you ask me, I would say, I don't think up to 20% of the people decide who leads our state. Using our country also, relatively, because these people, they are just just a selected few of them. They dictate what our future, so to say, becomes, and it's really appalling. I remember you talking about, apart from Ambrose Ali, no other state governor has, really done well in terms of governance. But going back to the 70s, my dad talked about Obamudia so much that he was just too good, that up to tomorrow, no other person are able to compete with him in terms of working as a governor. He was a military governor. The same time, the same way people talk about Abacha, even though he was a dictator, they say about Abacha, is the only one who has done so much in terms of infrastructural development in the country. So is it as if we are retrogressing, we are moving backwards? So, Mr. K, I will come to you. Now, my question in this part is, have we been progressing as a people? Because just like you said, we have a lot of wonderful people from Edo State, brilliant, smart people. Just like Nigeria, we lack the right leadership. You know, that aside, Mr. K, what do you think, is really the problem of our people, of our state, and the way forward before we delve into the election results proper?
And thanks for having me. You see, we
Can you help, Mr. K?
I think you should let him know his network is a little bit.
Mr. K, I think your network is shaking. If you can you hear us? If you can hear us, okay. I think it's
Okay, he's
gone
off
down.
the
So
call.
you may
Okay,
respond to that, Don Eugene.
okay. So we're talking about what is responsible for the poor leadership over the last few years. I would
Correct.
say there's a popular quote that says, "Evil will persist if good men fold their hands and do nothing." I think the way Nigerian political landscape has been structured is that it scares good people away from leadership and politics. And with that, the vultures, the hyenas, they will remain in power, and they mean no good for the ordinary citizen. So until people who are noble, the people who have the good intention to develop the states come into politics before we start saying that. In the 70s you were talking about, most of those people, the Obemudians, the Ambrosali, they were intellectuals. They didn't really have any personal ambition to amass wealth, then taking money to offshore accounts in other countries. That wasn't what was driving them. But now we are in a world that is driven by materialism. We're in a world that is driven by. Sometimes we wonder, how are you going to spend this money in your lifetime when you see the kind of billions that have been stolen and siphoned away from this nation? So the first reason is this. Let me say something. Let me just create this analogy for you. If during election, we often say that if you come out en masse to vote, it becomes difficult for them to ring. For example, a polling unit that have 500 registered voters is
hello.
490 turns out. Is 490 turns out. That means you only have 10 for you to falsify, because these 490, they did cast their vote. So in the same way, if you have enough good people coming out involved in politics to clean up the house, you will find out that the voice of the evil ones, or those who are leading currently, will diminish. I will always say something. It is not the person that had the best product that win. It's the one that is loudest about their offer. These negative people, they share their rights, they share their money, they are loud, even when they are empty. So as long as their voice are the loudest, definitely they will be the one ruling over the seemingly good people. And that's one of the reasons why we've had this consistent poor leadership in most of our states. I will land on this. Every republic, every particular 4 years of election in this country, there is no time you have more than 3, 4 performing governors. You'll find out the set of 2009 or so, Donald Duke was doing well. Maybe Tinubu did fairly in his own state. Then you come to 2003, Akpabio did. So you find out that there's only 1 or 2 states that you see a governor that is performing. Okay, in this particular dispensation now, we are talking about some good work in Enugu, some good work in Abia, Imo. Then is it Abia? In Abia, Imo is nothing to write home about. Then we are talking about, okay, maybe Osun State is doing a little bit. So you find that you can't count more than 5 performing state governors. How do you have 36 states and you have just less than maybe 10% or 20% performing? So we cannot develop a country like that. So if we had 70% performing, then we were able to say, okay, at least we will turn it around in the next election year. We'll have another 70% performing. So I just think the proportion is very low. So for me, good people need to start developing interest in leadership, in politics, and then we'll start reducing the influence of this group of leaders that we have right now.
Yeah.
So, Mr. K, you are back online. We had
Yeah.
issues with your
Can you
network.
hear me?
Maybe you can.
Yeah, very
It's
well.
better
But
now.
if you could come on video, it's better, but we can hear you.
No, I can't come on video at the moment for some reasons, but if you can
It's
hear
okay.
me, good voice.
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
All
Yeah.
right. I just wanted to say that where a situation where you have low turnout of election, there are a few factors that we can start considering. As to why it is so. All right. Prior to election, we're hearing people, wearing firearms and all that, and threatening fire and wars and all that, And the good people that we refer to most times in our conversations, these people don't carry guns. What are the police, for example, that they would rely on for safety during elections? They are also there taking sides with politicians as well. You understand? There's real fear, and there's real fear on the side of the people that if I go out there, you understand, to vote, what if there were, crisis? What if I get attacked and all that? How do I protect myself? So there's a trust problem here, which is why people are disengaged, with the political class. You understand? So, for example, we've had police arresting members of PDP even prior to the elections, and you have people being carted away from the state, for example, taken away to Abuja and all that. And then you have situation whereby there's fight happening in front of the airport few weeks or months prior to the election. So how are we going to, blame the people for not coming out? How are we going to blame good people for not coming out? You understand? Because the truth we are not telling ourselves is that the territory, the environment is not healthy. You understand? And it's deliberately, it's been like that deliberately. You understand? And because when you plant fear in the mind of people, the possibility of them coming out is it's not there, because there's no trust on the system, because, for example, if I was being threatened, when I go out to vote and I'm being threatened, who am I supposed to call? The police. Who are the police working for? The politician. I don't know if you know how fearful the governor of the state was during the campaign period as well. It was so disempowered to the point where the police was not even answerable to him anymore. So if the governor was, if they're able to put the governor in such a position, what do you expect the ordinary citizen to do? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? What do you expect them to do? So the weapon that the political class use is fear, you understand, and long suffering, to the point where people just don't bother anymore. I believe if you were in Edo State and you have children at voting age, you probably wouldn't want them to come out because of the environmental factor, the risk that is involved, and the chances of them being shot and all that. I was watching the news earlier, and there were some youth who were being arrested with firearms and all that. How do you explain this? How do you explain it? Or should we speak to the fact that political party members were also wearing the uniform of police and nobody was holding them accountable as well? So I don't think we've done any good to ourselves. We've not progressed at all. We've retrogressed, actually. We've gone back to the ages of where to the ages where the people are so put in a position of fear, where they're put in a place where they are too scared to engage with the system. So I think the people are disenfranchised. Looking at the percentage that came out as well, somebody once said, what's the election for? Because I don't call what's happening in Nigeria or Benin, for example. I don't call that election. If I was in Nigeria, I probably won't come out as well. So what do we do? How do we reassure the people that they are safe when they go out there? If you call election in the next 4 years, you're going to have similar situation where you have low turnout. Also,
So,
the
Mr.
reason
K.
for... Yes, sir.
Okay, so Now, we're beating that dead horse. We already know that. So my question, and where I would really like us to pitch our tent is, now, considering the political landscape and even maybe the possible fraudulent outcome of this election, how do we change this norm that we find ourselves, and how can the people of the state reposition themselves for maybe greatness? Do they just blank the government and try to live their life? Mind you, every policy the government makes eventually affects their life. So how can they react with the reality on ground? What do you think is the way forward for Edo people post-election results?
The problem that we have in Edo, or the problem that Edo people might have as it relates to election or the country, is not different from the problem that the Nigeria as a country have as well. It's the
Correct.
same. Separates them, because a situation where people, okay, would you say that the people were not responsible enough to vote during the presidential election, for example? Will we also say we do not know who won? During that election, what happened? Were we able to do anything? I think what the country needs and what we need in Edo is not different from what the country at large needs. We need a peaceful revolution. You understand? Where people would have to come out and speak unanimously, you understand, against the system that we currently have. Everything is wrong with the country at the moment. Edo State problem is not different from the problem that Nigeria have. You understand? But until we all speak in one voice against this small percentage of people that have kept us where we are, then we are not ready. We're not ready for change or to solve any problems. Otherwise, we'll come back here again, we'll discuss about it. Election will come, we'll find ourselves discussing about the problems and whatever we think the solution is. There needs to be a revolution. There also needs to be, once there's a revolution, what happened next after the revolution? People need to come back, brainstorm, and plan, and come out unanimously, to speak against systems that are not functioning in the interest of the people. That's what we need to be doing.
Okay, let me come in a bit. I think for me, bad leadership trickles, down so badly that it actually affects not just the past, but the present and the future. Now, how did they get where we are today? And what should have been the possible solution? Now, you said Edo people are fearless people. Edo not be Lagos, we are dogged, we are rugged, we are this. But who are those, rugged people who are supposed to fight for us? They are no longer around. Most most of our peers, most of our mates are either not in the country or not in Edo because they are all fighting for greener pastures. And this as a result of what? Terrible leadership. When you as a young man who after graduating from the university or high station, try to start your life, how do you start your life when everything is just terrible? Economic situation is bad. What do? You either look for a way to leave the state or travel out of the country. How do you leave the country? Sometimes you go through the desert, trying to get to Europe or looking for different ways and means to get out there, right? And so when you realize that you're out there, your friends realize, hey, man, you don't need try once more. Before you know what's happening, everybody starts leaving. So when people start to leave, what happens? Most of our peers, most of our age grade are no longer in the do. So who will be the ones to fight? Just a selected few who are being taken care of by the same political class only during election period to cause mayhem. So when you have uncles, aunties, and parents who are back home, how can they fight for themselves? Now you have your younger ones, how can they fight for themselves? Because it's like everybody has been beaten into a corner. I was having a conversation with a friend today, and we're just talking, joking. The guy said, "We're going to see the perform for Nigeria for September." He said it was just a result of climate change and all that. Then he said, "Just imagine if there's winter in Nigeria because of climate change." I was like, if there's winter, people go die well. The guy was like, "No, if there's winter in Nigeria, there I won't travel abroad anymore. I will just go back to Nigeria because if everything is there." I said, "We cannot survive it." And then he started, making bubbles off his head. He said, when there's winter, things go there. He just said, how can we survive it? Can you get furnace? Can you get boiler? Can you get heat? The guy said, about a government go make sure say they provide those things now. Like, which of the government? So if the on that top end, I was like, which of the government? Ordinary air conditioner for in the hot period. Do you get? He said no. The guy said that's even too far. Basic amenities, road, do you get? The guy said no. So that's even too far. What about water? Does the government even provide ordinary water for you? He said no. So how are you expecting, or how do you expect the government to provide boilers, furnaces, and heat for you during winter period? So the thing is, the government provides absolutely nothing for the people. This leadership, they beat us to a pulp. A few days ago, I made a post on Facebook. I was like, it's as if APC, they are so terrible and good at the center at what they do, because they go around shopping for the most incompetent and terrible candidates. Imagine us having someone like this APC candidate as a governor of the state. Are you trying to tell me that they cannot go around to look for at least one or two competent persons to represent APC? We have the one at the end of our fair in Abuja. Is he not terrible? He is. Look at the ones they are bringing to us to become our state governor. He could not even attend interviews, not even debates. But tomorrow to bring him. So the question is, realistically, let me just ask this question: is there a way forward? Is there a solution? Can it ever get better?
There is no site.
Okay.
But I don't think there's none on site at the moment as of today. All right, because the system is deliberately made to be the way it is. You understand? So that those who are perpetrating the things that we're speaking about here will continue to do so. You understand what I'm saying? So for example, there's an election, all right, coming. There is money being thrown into time where there are constitutions that regulates the people, which is supposed to be the grand norm. You understand?
Right.
Some of the things that happen during election in our country would be referred to as criminality. You understand? And people that are found to be doing it will be arrested immediately, and then they'll be tried. But in Nigeria, it does not work that way. You find that the governor has no power, for example, to determine what the security of security apparatus of the state does, because they are not even answerable to him in the first place. You understand? So maybe we should start discussing our laws, our constitution, because if the security apparatus of the state works, you'll find that they will go after those that are criminals. You spoke very well too. How does it even make sense that someone like Monday Okpebolo will be the one we are even thinking of voting for as a governor in the first place? What are the requirements? What are the qualities that people should have before they should even be there? Do you know? So can we not just say that things are wrong? Now there's nothing we can do about it at the moment, at all. You understand? Because when the head is rotten, what do you then say of the body too? The system is sick. The constitution is rubbish. It's not working. And then upon what constitution do you then rely on to try this level of criminality that we'll see during our elections as well? In a world today where people that are aspiring for political positions are attending debates, APC candidate hiding away, and you have someone like Shomole speaking for him all the time. The things that Shomole would say when he comes up to speak to the people, some of those things he should also be arrested for as well. But who's going to hold responsible when he has the back? Until we speak to the very core issues of the problems that we're dealing with, I don't think we'll go anywhere. Let me give way for others to speak.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Doriji, go ahead, please. Your mic is on mute. Your mic is on mute, Eugene.
Okay, sorry for that. Thank you. Okay, as I am, first of all, we can stay here from today to December 30th and talk about the problem. We all know the problem of Nigeria. We all know the problem of our state. So I wouldn't really want us to do it. We are we are young men, we think out of the box. So I would like our conversations to lean towards solution oriented a little bit instead of just maybe whining all through. So I would say something. Your question was, is it always going to be like this, or is this how it's going to continue? I will start by saying, no matter how dark it is, it cannot always be night. No matter how dark it is, it cannot always be night. There will be a morning. That's the truth. So if you think is this leadership in Nigeria, this is how this country will always be. I was talking to a group of people sometimes. I said in the 70s when Buhari ruled, I saw some documentary and I was like, some people, they were rationing food. Things were really bad then. But after a while, we still had in the 90s a little bit of better economy from what they faced during Buhari's era also. So now is a little bit tight. But let's even think about this leadership, these people that think that they are larger than life. Where is the Julius Caesars of them? Where is Hitler? Okay, if those ones are so far, where is our Gaddafi that was here some few years ago? Where is India? See, there is always a turn. In almost every 100 years, things will turn. See, this crop of leaders we have in Nigeria, something will happen. It could take a revolution, like my great brother was saying here. It could just take a divine, it could take a divine movement, a little movement that looks like fire. But first of all, one of the things I think the young men and a group of people need to start doing, we need to start having a long-term plan and start forming alliance. We must stop emphasizing what we can do within a short time and start emphasizing on what we can do over a long period of time. I'll make an example. In Egypt, there's this group they call the Brotherhood or so. They've been in existence for decades and decades. Those guys have what they call a long-term plan. They are infiltrating the world, Islamic Brotherhood or whatever. It's infiltrating all the European countries and everything. I remember a few years ago when they staged a protest in Egypt, whether over bread or something, I can't even remember. Also, see, we the young men should stop looking at instant impact. Oh, October 1st, now they want to protest. They'll protest October 1st, but October 4th, they have settled one or two people. No, that is not what we are talking about. We are talking about persistent, coordinated pressure you put on government. Let's say, for example, we have age 40 below or age 50 below, and we decide to have a kind of court-like movement where we say, okay, we are going to start exposing everyone in government. The truth is, the person that is looting is using permanent secretary. The permanent secretary has a staff who is the PA. So you will find out that every office document will be flying. Are you getting what I'm saying? So if they become a national consensus that the youth, but the question is, they have so impoverished us that once they give crumbs to these food soldiers, nobody is willing to talk. And then, so that's why you find out once in a while when they bring one youth to power, he will act even worse than the old men we are complaining of. So I think if I want to really ask a question, say, is this always going to continue? No, it will not. There will be a time, but how long are we going to remain like this is what we should be talking about. It can be for another 20 years if we don't stand up to do something. But the truth is there will always be an end to tyranny. And this leadership that we have in Nigeria that you're talking about the quality of aspirant that now let me tell you the reason why they bring this kind of aspirant. There's how smart you are that you cannot be manipulated. So they have to bring someone who cannot think for himself so that they will be able to get their way. For example, as I am like this, as a young man, forward looking, there are some documents I will not sign. There are certain deals that you cannot. I have a mind that is working. I have a will. I have something I want to do. But when you bring someone who had no ambition and then you put them there as a dummy, so they can do anything you want them to do. So that is the reason why nobody will ever put someone that is smarter than them in power, because they've seen antecedent. Look at what is happening to Wike now, because Fubara on his own is a smart young man. What Obaseki did to Oshomole, because he's also smart. So Oshomole will not repeat the mistake he made in Obaseki. So he has to go and look for the worst of the worst to bring so that he will be able to have his way and all of them. So I think the reason they are bringing these low-life people is because they are, even in the United States election, you could see why the Democratic Party decided to remove Biden and from backdoor bring Kamala that does not have the policy direction of her own. And then now, because the deep state, the Obama and everybody can control her. She has all the things she said over the last election. She's changing all of them. Oh, I'm not for border. Now you are now for border. I'm not for fracking. Now you are supporting fracking. You said they should stop drilling oil. Now you are doing everything you want to say to win election because you are not fame. But you see someone that is consistent. What I said 10 years ago is what I will say today, irrespective of whatever you're enticing me. So you can't pick someone like me because I cannot easily be bought over. So that's why you are not seeing because your questioner is this the best Edo State can offer? The best Edo State can offer, they cannot pick the person because that one has a working brain. So they have to bring someone whose brain is in a coma, that cannot even, that want to bring insecurity. Look what kind of, we are talking here, we are conversing, and you're understanding me. Somebody cannot even talk for 10 minutes and you want to be a governor of a state. So I'm not here to talk about the character of the people. We are just trying to see what is the way forward for the citizen and reacting to the election. So Mr. Priye is here online.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me come in. So Mr. Priye, thank you so much for coming in. I will ask you a quick question, but before then, I'd like to play the devil's advocate. Doyiji talked about, exposing, sensitive documents, trying to lead the revolution by doing that. Let me ask you a question. Did you know we have over 8 journalists who are in jail right now for just doing the right thing by exposing corruption in this country? That's one. And also, did you? No, I'm not wanting to answer. This question is actually for Priye Blake. Priye Blake, by the way, is a comedian, MC, and a fashion designer mogul. So thanks so much for being with us, Mr. Priye. So the thing is, what have we not done in this country? Most of the things you're talking about, did you also know that your president, T-Pain, like they call him, goes through the back door and does what he wants, just like Abacha was doing at the time. So exposing documents, doing the right things and, exposing corruptions, do you really think with the present dispensation, we can go anywhere with that? Priya, that question is for you.
All right, I have to. Good evening, everybody, our viewers and those of us in the panel. I had to stop at the supermarket, take a place, because before I will get home, this conversation might be over. So whatever noise you are hearing, pardon me, I need this conversation. First of all, let me also congratulate the APC for winning 27 over 27 in Imo State and for winning 206 wards over 206 wards.
I think they
deserve
a round of applause.
A round of applause.
Let's clap for TP and his boys.
The word, the polling unit of the aspirants of other parties, they could not even win their polling unit.
Exactly.
They were won. Do you know what it means to win 306 wards councillorship and win 27 local governments over 27 unopposed? And there was election. There was election.
To be deceiving ourselves.
So I'm glad. Now you said something. You said you mentioned that I'm a fashion designer, a comedian, an MC. You forget the part where I'm a journalist. I've worked in 3 different radio stations, managed one of them, presented news. I've been chased by the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission for saying some certain things. I've been told to pay 500,000. I've been told to pay 800,000. I've been chased by the DSS. Only me. So yes, let's come back to that. First of all, again, let me digress a little. Don G said he was mentioning where are the Gaddafis, where are the Idi Amin's, where are the Julius Caesar? Remove that thing. That thing is for book of Bible story that they used to make us have conscience. Remove that thing. We are in an era where conscience is no longer working. First, let's talk as men that do not think of conscience. It's me and you that have conscience. That's why we are on this life. The people we are dealing with do not have conscience. Let me give you an example. All these laws that we are funny adjustment that the Senate and the House of Assembly they are making. Who do you think is writing it for them? Very intelligent young boys. Oh, you think it is your senators that come out and say we want to write and amend laws? No.
Sorry, and by
It's
the way,
people like
Monday
us
Okpebholo was a senator, by the way. The so-called
yeah,
APC, he was a senator. When
the
of you talk,
was a
speak
senator
English. Exactly.
that couldn't speak English. Now go and check. This guy, him and Oshomole, they were busy running around reading and presenting some bills that don't make sense. But though they were, who do you think was writing it for them? Young, vibrant men who have been kept on salary cap. That's number one. So if you're looking at forming a united front, there's nothing united about our front. Let's leave it at that. Now, Mr. Curtis was asking me of a solution. What's the way forward? You see, in Nigeria, there are two things that will happen that will solve the problem called Nigeria. And I mean it in no disrespect. There's nothing that concerns Nigeria with our first Mr. Fosa said civil revolution. Remove the civil in the case of Nigeria. Nothing civil can work. Nothing civil about this country again can work. Civil is us coming out, not saying anything, coming out with a voice and say, okay, make some certain demands. No, we cannot make demands anymore in this country because the people we are making these demands to are tone deaf. Are tone deaf. As I speak to you now, there are laws trying to, they want to make us mini Cameroon, where Paul Biya can run and run and run and run and run. Now, what they are doing is they are trying to, through the House of Rep, mark my words, I know this for sure, introduce some things that will bring, you see that third tenor that did not work in Obasanjo? They want to creep it in through the House of Rep. Now, what do? They will call it two tenor extended terms. Two tenor, it's no longer single extended term. It's not a two tenor extended terms. These are the people you want us to now do what? Be civil about? No, that's not the way forward. The way forward is to make personal demands. By personal demand, I mean, you see that your House of Rep member, that your House of Assembly member, that you know in your village, that comes to the village. I'm sorry I'm going to say this, but this is this is the truth. That comes to the village that you know in your local government. My brother Peter. Facebook no go understand what they talk about.
Food disclaimer. We
You
are
go
not
play am.
advocating violence
Yes,
on this
this is
platform.
my
Do they
own.
come to the
No,
village?
it's his own opinion.
See, in my own opinion, players, they come to the village.
They do.
Don't think they do not come to the village. They do. We have followed these people up. They do. How do you think they come to do all their local Thanksgiving during the election period? This period now, they were all in the village trying to campaign in their wards because they want their candidate to become governor. They want their candidate to become governor. Now, the PDP candidates, as when someone like Aswen now, Aswen Godalo made mention of him being a capable person. Someone like Aswen should not even be involved in this election. Why? Because if you watch Edo's economy, Aswen has been the substantive and let me use my word, collective advisor to the economy for both Oshomole. He deputized this one now, what's his name? This one that's outgoing. He deputized him as the economic chief. Then in Obaseki's time, he was in charge of the economy. They don't look like it has economy. If it is economic advisors that now become governors in Edo State, and the economy is still economy-less. I read economy, it's a shame. Is it okay for this person to still pick a form and want to become governor? The only solution is...
Sorry. You will continue. For context, let me just explain. During Oshomole, Aswen Ighodalo was a member of the Economic Committee for Edo State, while Obaseki was the chairman. In Obaseki's regime, Aso Igodalo was the chairman of the economic committee. It's an advisory role. It's not so much of an elective role per se. So I just putting it in context with people that are there. So
it
it looks
still
like
hold them responsible for it because they're part of the committee.
Hold on,
yes.
hold on. When Oshomole was speaking during his time, when he was about to bring out Obaseki, he said the reason those economy is shining is because of all the advice he collected from Obaseki. Now, Obaseki's campaign for us, when Obaseki said the reason Edo IGRO moved to 16 billion is because of the advice he collected from Aso Igodalo. So they are indirectly telling you that this guy is the one boosting those economy. So you cannot tell me it's an advisory role when the governor from his lips said that the reason this thing is moving forward is because I collected the advice.
I'll tell you why that is. I will tell you why that is. Because neither Obaseki nor Aso Igodalo were domiciled within Edo State. So to try to sell these two guys to us, they will make us feel like they were part of the government silently or quietly. Otherwise, prior to election or campaign period, you don't hear of these people at all. You don't know if they were there. That's just to save them the argument of you guys are just coming from Lagos to come and reap where you did not sow. So because personally, I don't believe they were part of whatever that they are assigning to them during election period.
Thank you very much. And then beautiful, let me round up by saying this. We're not ready. We are not ready to change this country, to change our states, if we are still doing, I'm sorry to say, because I think there are a lot of Isha people here. I'm sorry to say, if we are still doing now Isha turn, not be Benin turn. And you could see educated people with degrees, master's degrees, PhD. One of my guys was arguing that this is Isha's turn. This is Esan's turn. Now, who is Esan bringing?
Our local.
Exactly. Who is Esan? The Esan now that is Esan's turn. Who is Esan bringing that you think will now move Edo forward? You are not considering it. You are just saying they've impoverished us. But you forget that Esan is the only people in the entire Nigeria that has produced 2 ministers for work. And there was no work around there.
All right.
From one town, by the way.
From one town. 2 ministers of works, and there was no work. So if we
thank you for that perspective. But let me tell you one of the reasons. In a place where resources are not well distributed, federal character is what Nigeria runs. Now, for example, if the leadership was acting normal, spreading the resources across board, nobody will want my person is the one coming in or so. So let me talk about when you hear the ASAN agenda, it wasn't supposed to produce an illegitimate candidate. The idea was supposed to say, okay, come to this side of the state and look for the best hands from there, which is possible. So you can actually do federal character and still get a good candidate. But where the problem is they will not go ahead and pick one irresponsible person from that part. You will not say, okay, for example, if we have people who have ruled Nigeria for 8 years, it's only fair to say let the SAT rule. But now, who is the quality of the specimen from the SAT becomes what is important. So it's not really out of place for a group of people.
As an Esan man, I'm sorry to say, I have to cut you short. As an Esan man, if they ask you with the political strength you need to become a governor, name 5 normal people that are in the Esan caucus that you will name that say if they enter they will not disgrace Esan. Name 5 that are currently, when we are talking about pick the right people for Esan, we are not talking of Samuel coming into the house of Jesse and the Lord said, and he wanted to anoint, and the Lord said, no, go and bring one in the bush. It doesn't work again, though. It ended in the book of 1st and 2nd Samuel. Before you become a governor in the state, you must have been to a level, a certain level in the political cadre. It's not Labour Party that just bring anybody that say they want to bring. In
Can I
PDP
answer
and APC, you
your
must have been. So
question?
name 5 APC members and 5 PDP members that you know that they are in the ruling class currently in ESA, that you can say, oh, these people would have come and it would be okay. 5.
Now,
Don't give
first
me
of all,
philosophy.
see, no, I will not even go into name calling, but let me just give you a perspective. In the
Okay.
last 16 years, we've had House of Rep and senators.
Okay.
Now, the question is not this kind of rubber stamp senator that they brought in APC we are talking about now. For example, like there's a senator called Senator Odia, for example, who has performed very well in the Eastern land and all of that. So at the same time, because I see your criteria, you are looking at somebody who have done something within the political class, either have built their CV from local government to House of Assembly or so. But
Yes,
aside
that's how to be a
that,
governor.
there are people who also are technocrats who are doing well in the private sector that can come in. They really don't need to. When Professor Ambrose Ali became the governor of Edo State, he was brought in from abroad. He
That was when
wasn't
Nigeria was
in
sane.
Nigeria.
Not
You
this
know the era you are talking
Now,
about.
when,
this
That's why you are asking.
stand of Nigeria talking
but if
about.
we're going to go by technocrats that are doing well in their various fields, then we would argue a case for
Asogalo.
Aswani Godalo because he's doing well. We cannot say he's not doing well in his private
It
business.
is private, yes.
So he's
He
doing
has done very well,
well.
actually.
You understand? So he's doing well. He's doing well. Now, you, Mr. Eugene is a proponent for let's pick a bad solution. Trust me, I don't know anyone who wants a bad solution without drifting into the problem. They are intrinsically interwoven as it relates to Nigeria's case. You understand?
Very
But
true.
I find that consistency, it does work a lot. You'll find that when Oshomole came during when he was campaigning for Iyamu in Benin, you find that the Edo people they rose against him and chased him away. He ran. But what we do not do is to sit back and think of what method works for us and then continue to be consistent in using that method to chase these idiots away. You understand, when they come to lie to us.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you look at Oshomole, that's very consistent in his method. Nothing new. He just wait after 4 years, he comes, pick a candidate and start telling lies against
The ways
the
of
rival.
Satan.
You understand? We are also there just cheering him up and all that. We don't think, okay, how did we chase him away that time? Let us reinforce that method again. If he's consistent in his lying ways, we should also be consistent in the way that we deterred him. We're not consistent. You understand? So maybe we should sit down, think of what has worked before, have a reflective thinking. What has worked before? Let's chase these people away. You understand? The only we go still save ourselves. You understand?
Finish.
You know, so it's either going to be by either civil disobedience, you understand, or we can just tell them we're not carry the country with that. Because what we are experiencing in Nigeria today, whether it is in the state or national, is state capturing.
Serious state capturing.
The method that the people of Nigeria took during Obi, did it not work? It worked now. When they saw that they could not buy us anymore, what did they do? They
bought Mahmoud.
to buy the INEC and then buy the judiciary as well. When you then speak against INEC method, INEC tells you go to court. And if the judiciary is the last hope of the common man, that's where we're supposed to cry to. When the judiciary has been captured as well, where do we go? Do you understand? So it's almost impossible that we'll start talking about solution without drifting back into the problem. I don't know how to do that. As it relates to our own case.
Let me chip in something. If right now what we're discussing now is okay, problems and furthermore solutions, but the truth is this election was supposed to be under threat from last week when INEC announced that flood affected 4,000 beavers. That is when Edo people should have risen up to say, we're not they do again. INEC woke up last week, a week to the election, and said flood affected 4,000 people. Where did the flood come from? Orion, where did, where,
Please, Oroma
oh,
is please, I beg.
where, where did the flood come from? Nobody asked
Is
questions. So
Ikoba
nobody,
River?
okay, nobody asked questions. So now we thought that if in our best thinking that okay, Edo could manage, and we were shouting Edo not be Lagos, Edo not be Lagos. For INEC to have the mind to come up and say 4,000 beavers, we are already having problems. How many wards, how many election booths remain again for the Edo? If 4,000 beavers have problems, that was when the
I think,
citizenry should have said no.
sorry, let me come in. I think I've actually been holding myself to say some certain things, online because the truth is, there is no solution without violence. That's the truth. Because what you guys are doing to us,
That's
they are just messing us up violently, but on a very coded level. So you can't tell me, we can only deceive ourselves by saying we can try to do that. See, brother, even John Baptist said, "Have you heard this in the Bible? The kingdom of God
the
suffer
kingdom
violence,
of
and the
God
violence
suffered
taken
violence.
it by force."
By force.
The only way out, you see this civil, remove that civil, as it take and
Remove the
truncate it and
civil.
just go and fling it somewhere. Eh? We need
Are
a
you
proper.
are
No,
you people advocating? Are you people advocating for bloodbaths?
no.
No.
See, whether or not you
See,
like it, whether or not you like it, every violence always becomes bloody. If we can deceive ourselves all we want, if we want to take our country back, you see this whole style of all these peaceful Peter B style of this thing, it not go work because these people you are trying to run against, they know all of these things. They are evil. They are witchcraft. Do you know
no,
what
sir.
it is? Do you know what it is
Let me
for a party to well human beings, Nigerians, and start looking, shopping for the most despicable of the people to lead, to represent them as a party? See, when time
Okay.
reaches, let me end by this. When the time reaches, it will get to a point where these people, where we, the populace, the people who have a choice, than to turn back and face it. Just like you say, when you push a goat to the wall, when it gets to the end, it won't know where it won't enter again. If you turn back and see them, go to Edo State and see the level of poverty in Edo State. That's it.
see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Create.
Now, let me start with your adage that if you push a goat to the wall, to turn back. In Nigeria, the kind of goat we are is the goat that will eat the wall and pass that wall that you push us to. Will come out in another side of the wall. So they know that Nigerians are used to adjusting. If you push us to the end of the wall, we will dig a hole and then come out in the other wall. We have survival instinct. That is number one. Then number two, which is very important and is very key. I wrote a piece recently and I said, blame Obi for the problem of Nigeria. A lot of people came after me, said, you added supporter of Obi, what happened? I said, if Obi had just shut his mouth up and not come up with that 6 o'clock, we'll go to the court gist. We were ready to do what it takes to save Nigeria. But because we had to listen to a leader that we respect,
Of course.
after the rigging 4 o'clock, the man should have just kept his mouth shut,
Travel.
go and sleep, travel, and let us do the do.
Sorry.
Nigeria would have
Sorry,
been
let me
safe.
cut you. Let me cut you quickly.
Mm.
There was a very credible information I heard that 2 results were prepared for the presidential election. One was there would be a rerun, while the other one was the one they called. When they called that result at the midnight, they wanted to see the temperature of the country.
Thank
If the
you.
temperature becomes, if it starts boiling, they will now bring the other result of, oh, inconclusive. Let's do some rerun in some places. That was there as an insurance policy. But because of the hard dog side we are as a people, and so they just eventually tore that paper and we find ourselves here. So quickly, as we are rounding up in the next 10 minutes, Now, I think one of the things we have been able to establish in this conversation is that we cannot always continue the same way we are going if we are ever going to see light at the end of this tunnel that we are in.
They
So I
collect
think
light for end of
everybody
tunnel.
will now need to start rallying the base. So, Mr. Priye, before we go to Mr. Kelly to give his last words, in terms of looking at rallying your base anywhere you find yourself, where do you think Nigeria can start from? Is it for everybody to tell his family that I'm going to war October 1st? If you don't see me, know that I've become. Because why am I saying this? Before you join this call, Nosa said there are over 8 journalists, which some of them we know, PDOM and all of them, who are in
Yes.
custody just by exposing truth. That one is happening. Then secondly, we also know the number of people that have been whisked away without knowing their whereabouts just by doing that. So, and then there are also grand conspiracy to make protest even illegal in Nigeria, not to even talk of this. So, how do you want us to go about this revolution that you are removing civil from? Where do you think we should start from, and how do you think we can go about it?
Okay. First of all, I'm rounding up by saying, firstly, my first point is that what Nosan said is very true. These people don't care about documents, because if they care about documents, Yaya Bello should have been in jail by now. But one governor said he didn't do it, he didn't do it. It's not your money, it's not your money. So give money, I forgive him. And nobody is saying anything. That's one. To tell you they don't care about documents. Whatever David Hundeyin has brought out is enough to lock a lot of people in this country. They don't care. They will sweep it under. And do not forget, most of these top politicians in Nigeria are puppets of the West. So we are not about to see the West any day call them out the way they called out Saddam Hussein, the way they called out other leaders. No. These people are puppets of the West. So over time, they are going to be covered by the West. And they have insurance that if Pregede happens, you can come over and relax with the loot that you have stored there. It will be enough. I hope you know that in Switzerland, there are bunkers underneath everywhere in Switzerland where people can stay, and people buy private bunkers. And I can assure you, with the kind of information that I have, that a lot of Nigerian politicians, senators, and governors have bunkers in Switzerland that they will go and stay underground. You will not find them. There's enough food. They have established that. That's why most of their money are going to the Swiss bank. Let's leave it at that. There's no organized protest in this country that will work. As long as we are organizing it and saying it out, it will not work. Because these people are crafty. They know how to destroy. They know how to infiltrate. And they know how to clear us out. So there's nothing like this October 1st nonsense now. They have also planned their own October 1st. They are waiting for us. They are waiting for us. So that October 1st doesn't even make sense in my head. What will happen is the kind of revolution and protest is the one they never expected, like the one I said. Start from your home. We are not carrying placard. As you see Baba Senator, as you see Baba House of Rep, off am. As you see him, as he come village, off am. Make sure. I'm coming. Make sure that they feel. Now, me they talk, and this is from Priye now. Find me. Make sure they feel the heat of what is going on. We need to get to that point where we say no individually. Remember what happened in the Arab Spring, Arab Rising? It was not a planned protest. One man stood up, lit himself on fire. As he was burning, the Arab Spring was burning. The whole thing started. So it was not what they planned. If we have any planned movement, whatever it is, these people also have ways to infiltrate us. That is just the truth. Unplanned is the way, not planned. But we just have an idea that this is what we want to do.
Okay, Mr. Kelly, please, thank God you are in diaspora. I want to come from a very different perspective now. I don't know if you have information about it. So a few years ago, there was a publication that by 2030, Nigeria would disintegrate, and actively there are a lot of documents to back up that Western power, especially the US and the like, are working against Nigeria also. So you can see it in different areas, the insecurity and everything, how they don't, even the East, some of the unknown gunmen and everything in the East, there are a lot of accusations that because of the natural gas deposit that is in the East, they are trying to unsettle that part of the country. A lot of stuff like that. So do you believe in such conspiracy that Nigerians' problem is beyond our border, or you just think saying that we they do ourselves?
It is
I
possible.
think with that, you also give your last words.
It is possible that there are international influences, right? But I think, by the way, it wasn't 2020. They said 2030. However,
Yeah, it's 2030 now. That's what we are very close to it now.
there's nothing that has been predicted by the West that has not happened in Nigeria already. You understand?
Very
So
true.
it makes me worry whether we as a people are actually very smart. They predicted this thing before Buhari, but yet you went to bring one old man whose brain has deteriorated, you understand, to become a president. When you get predictions like this, they're supposed to be looking for the brightest amongst us. You understand? So that we can start reversing the trend or whatever it is that they predicted that we are seeing. We start reversing it. No, we want to bring skeleton to come and preside a nation. And here we
Hello,
are.
sir. Is Mr. President you are referring to, sir? With all due respect,
A
sir.
skeleton.
That's still baby, still pain.
And we did not learn from that one. After the Buhari left, we also brought another one again, Jagabosco. You understand? So, and you are still thinking that the country will not disintegrate. It will disintegrate. What was. It would not be what we wish on this platform, right? But it's almost like we have no control over it. But I'll make this my last word, right? Nigeria as a people, we should learn to resist things. You understand? To unanimously resist things that are being presented before that are nonsense and not good. You understand? Enough of, you see, the forces are gathering. Oh, I was listening to, what's his name? Dele Farrow to me yesterday when he was speaking. He said every forces, you understand, that were against what was happening in Nigeria, all united. It was only Yele, Showore, Revolution Now that did not join. You understand? It was all those forces they gathered together to support Peter Obi at the time. It was only Yele. So we need to get to a point where we cannot be divided if we want to succeed. You understand? We cannot
Thank
be
you, sir.
divided. You cannot have a case where one house is coming up for a protest and the other house is saying, no, I know they go. We all have to be out there together. You understand? Then it will be very effective.
Okay. Before I let the convener give his final round of speech, I will say on my own, I'm a preacher of love and peace for me. But the truth is, I know that true freedom cannot be gotten on just the altar of peace. Sometimes you have to fight for it and earn it. So I would say on my own that I think it's high time that Nigerian youth stand up to be counted. It's high time that we make our voice count, not just in election, but in every office, in every area we find ourselves. And lastly, I will say this. I think the time is coming and is very close then that we will get to the end of this. He said when they push us to the wall, we will create a space in the wall. Fear moving from 160 up to 1,000, almost 1,000, 1,003 in some places. It's getting to a concrete wall where you can't break through. So I know Nigeria will snap very soon. And my best prediction is between now and the first quarter of next year. Why? Because by the end of the year, people will, Bible says Samson shook himself as at other times. People will try to do Christmas as they used to do. They will try to travel. They will try to. when they find out that they hit a brick wall at the beginning of the year, I know this country, there will be a little bit of reset. I just feel it, not like I'm coming from any prediction, because a lot of rent runs from beginning of the year. People have depleted their savings on transport, but right now they don't even know how bad it is until they can't pay their rent next year. So a lot of factors will work together. Food costs will increase by beginning of the year after Christmas. A lot of then we are talking about people couldn't travel, people couldn't do their Utah season celebration properly. Then you are talking about school resumption by the new year. I just believe by the new year, people will try to manage this to the end of the year, but by the new year, there will be some great resistance. So I don't think this October 1st protest will give us exactly what we want. I
It will not
think
give
by
us.
the beginning of the year, there will be a movement that will be more, okay, what's the word? Let me look for that word. That will be inspired by hunger. That movement that will be inspired by hunger. So that means everybody's inspiration will be their tummy, not what somebody posted online. And then that's what it is. So, Mr. Nosa, I think with that I have given my last test.
Okay, so as a young Catholic in early 90s and as an altar server in the mid 90s, I remember the Catholic Church usually say this prayer for Nigeria in distress.
You
And
find
the
like
last
this
time
now,
I
you know,
checked,
when we see your face.
with and the last time I checked, I think that particular prayer is still being said, and I think we need to stop praying for Nigeria. We need to stop praying because the earlier we stopped praying, the better for us. We need to stand up and do what is right. And by the way, I am not judging those who are not fighting for their rights. When the right time comes, everybody will stand up and fight. And whatever planned protest we are having is just a child's play because I've never seen a place where people plan protest or plan violence or plan something. It's just it's a
Protest to happen, erupt, just
just a
explode.
normal. You see what
But
happened with
let us
Esther.
assume too that maybe the organizers of this protest are also testing waters to see the strength of the system. Let's hope they
They are
are.
not testing.
Okay, so in conclusion, guys, don't have to sleep. In conclusion, we just hope that we are able to stand up and fight for ourselves. And I see it coming because me personally, I'm not a believer of peace. I don't believe in doing all of this. I believe when we stand up, we should do what's right. Because personally, I'm angry. Because and you here, what have you gained from
The violent
nothing?
people.
We've not gained anything from it, and yet this country is so blessed, so blessed. But
Mr. Kelly, are you also for violence?
No,
so I just want to say thank you to Mr. Toyuji, a brother and friend, Mr. Babake, a brother and friend, and the Black God himself, Mr. Priye, a brother and friend. Thank you so much. I think we should do this.
Only
We should do this more often. Apart from politics,
often, yes,
once in a while,
yes.
let's talk about things bothering us because we are men, we are fathers, and we are also husbands. A lot of things they bother our heads. So let's just come once in a while, and talk about it. I
I think
believe
one
it's just a.
in a week we
Reduce
just
the
meet up
stress.
and discuss some stuff
You
like
see,
that.
Reduce the stress.
so maybe it's just a bit exactly. I think so.
No problem,
It's over
guys.
some years. So thank you so much
All
for
right.
having the time, and for those who got their time to be with us. I can see some chats and everything. Thank you guys. God bless you. Good night,
Thank
and
you.